Good morning and welcome. We all have blindness in our lives. Think about that. Well, we're here today to talk a little bit more about blindness and how sometimes our vision is so important to understand that our vision needs to be aligned with our core beliefs, with our core values, our core strengths. That is where we're going to be so much happier, so much more successful in our lives if we just follow that simple rule to be more congruent with everything we do. So without any further ado, I want to talk to you about our guests that are coming on in the next day, but I'm going to save that to the end. So please stick around until the end and we'll talk about who our guests are going to be in the future. But our guest today is phenomenal. So I'm really looking forward to having him come on. But before that, I want to make sure you understand that when we talk about vision, we talk about how that company vision, it's the company may be the company you work for. It may be the company of you because you are the CEO of YOU. So understanding that is critically important. So without any further ado, I want to bring on our guest for today. And our guest is none other than Mr. Derek Arden. Good morning, Derek.
Well, it's good afternoon where I am, Brian, in the UK. But good afternoon, good morning to you. What a pleasure to be here with you.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. I truly appreciate it. Before we get started, I want to, if you could summarize, if you would, and you can have a few minutes. I'm going to go off screen while you answer this question. But tell us a little bit about your story.
Okay. Ready to go. Well, my story, I'm a baby boomer. I was born in northwest London, and my parents had no money. They both fought in the Second World War, and so we had a pretty tough childhood. And I went to a good school, but I was bottom of the class and told that I wouldn't be successful. All that nonsense that people get told at that point, and I never believed them. I was a street fighter. And I left school at 16, went to join a bank, and I became successful because I watched what the successful people did, and I modeled the successful people. So 10 years later, I was a training manager for that bank. I've always loved training. I've always loved self-development. I've always loved people development, helping people, and I'm a lifelong learner. I'm one of those people that just cannot put a book down, listen to a CD program, talk to people, etc. 20 years after that, I was a relationship director for Barclays Bank, and I was dealing with some of the largest corporates in the UK and in the States and in America, because I came to America quite a few times to see the clients, etc. And what I found was that they were really good negotiators. And whilst I thought I was a good negotiator, I wasn't a good negotiator. I was really in the fourth division rather than in the Premier League. So I decided one day, after I'd been thrown out of a client for not reducing my price on $1 million deal, to buy a book on negotiating. And I bought a book by an English author in those days. He was the only guy that had written a book on negotiating called Everything is Negotiable by Gavin Kennedy. And I never thought 20 years later that I would be a best-selling author, and probably one of the few best-selling authors in the UK, because most books on negotiation are written in America. So I wanted to write a book which was going to be congruent, as using a word you used, with people in England, because people in England and people in America are quite different, having traveled the world. There is a different culture in sales, different culture in negotiation, etc. So I'm hugely proud to now be an author. And when I left Barclays, when I negotiated my way out with a big grin on my face, using the skills that I had learned, then I went to Harvard. I went to America to study NLP under Richard Bandler, and joined the Professional Speaking Association, later becoming the president of the Speaking Association in the UK. So that's a quick rundown.
Wow.
Story.
Now you dropped some soccer, or football as you call it, analogy on me there with the Premier League and the fourth division. So I got a little caught up in that. So again, maybe that's just me, but I want to know really when you talk about NLP and you talk about all the other things you mentioned, what did you learn? You came to Harvard. I mean, amazing that you came to Harvard, but NLP and all that, where did that take you?
Well, I was a good negotiator because I'd listened to all the tapes and the CDs, and Brian, it was tapes. I'm that old, sadly, you know, the old cassette tapes and then the CDs. And I decided I wanted to model the highest achievers in the world. I wanted to get their material, see them in action, meet them, get their books, get them signed in person. So I went to Harvard for a week and studied under Bill Urey, the author of Getting to Yes, the best book about win-win negotiations. And then I wanted to put the psychology. I want to study psychology. Neuro-linguistic program was a quick fix on that. And I did 2 practitioner certificates because I didn't get it the first time. And I wanted to be able to show people how to put NLP into your negotiations and how to use it, not in a manipulative way, but in a way to gain rapport, be congruent, listen to what they're really saying, etc., etc. So I wanted to be the whole package in that, and so that's why I did it. What did I learn? We'd need 2 hours for me to do that. Invite me back, and I'll tell you.
Okay, wait. So we've mentioned NLP a couple times already. We haven't really said what it is. So explain to our audience what it is.
Okay. Well, NLP stands for Neuro-Linguistic Programming, and Bandler and Grindler, the inventors, but they weren't really the inventors. They put a whole package of positive psychological techniques that they'd been studying into a package. And for some crazy reason, and there are all sorts of reasons banding about, they called it neuro because of the way the brain works, linguistic because the language you use, both when you're talking to yourself in our heads, and we talk to ourselves 90,000 times a day apparently, and a lot of those are negative. So the language we use, both to other people and to ourselves, affects us and them. And programming, because if you do certain things a number of times, then you learn to do it unconsciously, like driving a car. When we first learn to drive a car, we can't work out, or certainly over here, because we don't have automatic cars in England, but, you know, putting the clutch in, looking in the mirror, turning the indicators on and all those things we think we'll never be able to do. And then we do it 20 times and we can...
Real quick, before we go too much farther, I want to say hello to some of our friends. Jamal, good morning. Good morning. This is Jamal. I appreciate that. And yes, thank you for that. I appreciate. Hopefully, you're talking my smile. Maybe it's Derek's smile. I'm not sure. But then Ted Legal as well. Thank you for joining us, Ted. Appreciate you. So if you're listening to this, please share this video out with other people. Share it on LinkedIn, YouTube, or actually it's probably easier to share it on Facebook. But just share it out. Make sure that we continue to grow this community that we have. So thank you so much for all that. And as you're listening, please put in the chat box, #live. If you're listening live, if you're coming in a replay, put in #replay. So that's phenomenal if you would do that. And also let us know where you're coming in from. That would be great. Now, Derek, without any further ado, I'd like to talk to you a little bit more about what your biggest factor is in your success. And wait, before we go there, tell me who is probably the best known person that you can think of that talks about NLP, that uses NLP every day.
Tony Robbins, Anthony Robbins. But he uses it in a rather more persuasive way. I was going to say manipulative. I didn't mean to say that, but I studied Tony Robbins for 4 days. I didn't really like his techniques personally, but he's hugely successful and does really well. And if people are listening to this on LinkedIn, do put my hashtag in and join me at Derek Arden, please, because I'd appreciate that, being the other side of the Atlantic Ocean from you. But Richard Bandler was very good. Saw him live in London. Saw Tony Robbins live in London. And I've studied some great people. But I needed to understand exactly how I put it into my own language, how I was congruent with it, etc. But, you know, building rapport, listening, all those techniques, the obvious techniques that people don't do very well because they're so tied up in themselves. So
right. So what is the biggest factor in your success?
Biggest factor in my success is picking out the smart people and modeling them and meeting them and catching up with them and traveling the world. And I come to the States every year to attend the national speaking conference. There's only about 10 Brits take the trouble to do that. I pick up people like Brian Tracy, had lunch with him, Patricia Fripp, Nido Cobain. I'm just name dropping a few people, but they're some of the smartest people in the USA. I don't want to pick up I don't want to come all this way, spend $5,000 on the trip and not meet the best people. So, I don't hassle them. I just meet them. And I say, I'm Derek from London. Lovely to meet you. I've been a fan of yours for the last 20 years, listening to your tapes. Do you mind if I ask you a few questions or meet you in the coffee shop at 7 in the morning or 9 at night, whatever suits them? You've got to put yourself out, Brian. You know that. I know that. Most people won't take the trouble to put themselves out, pick up the smart people, the people who've learned from others, the people with the wisdom, and then take their street smarts and put them into practice. That's what it's all about.
It is what it's all about. You're exactly right. You're exactly right. So
luckily, Brian, for you and I, most people won't do that. They won't put themselves out. Patricia Fripp, I'll tell you in 10 seconds the story about Patricia Fripp. I said, if you come over to the UK and speak at the speaking conference in London, and she had to pay her own airfare and her own hotel because we don't pay anything. We're a not-for-profit organisation. I'll pick you up at Heathrow. Every time you come over, drive you to your brother's house. And she said, okay, not believing I'd do that. And the first time she came, 6:15 in the morning, a holiday over here, picked her up at the airport, drove her to Wimborne in Dorset. I had Patricia Fripp in my car coaching me for 2 hours. Brian, the mistake I made is I didn't take a tape recorder. I had nothing to record it. So I'm driving the car on the freeway, and there we are. So that's that story, modelling up the achievers. Get out there and pick up the best people.
Yeah. No, I agree. 100%. 100%. So this is great. Now, tell me, what's the best? Because you were talking about advice and paying Patricia Fripp in a car. I mean, I was there as well. But what's the best advice you've ever gotten?
Best advice I've ever got from anybody. Is that the question? Well, negotiating. Well, actually, it's preparation. Do your research, do your homework, look people up on LinkedIn. Sometimes the best advice is the most obvious advice. In negotiating, which is my specialism, always ask, always listen to the replies you get. If you don't ask, you don't give the other person the opportunity to say yes to you. But before you do all that, you must build rapport. You must connect with them. And the best way to do that is look them up on LinkedIn, as you did with me, find out, have a chat with them, and ask them if they'll do things. So it's the simplest advice is the best advice. And also that about seek out the high achievers and copy what they do.
Yeah. That's great advice right there. So what do you do daily that helps to bring you clarity? And so you've got so much going on, but you stay so clear as to what your purpose or what your focus is.
I've got a lot going on, and I ask myself that question. So let me talk you through that. First of all, I have a master book which I write everything in every day. This isn't a book full of lists of to-dos. These are. I met Brian today. I was on his podcast. I was on his interview chat. These are the questions he asked me. This is a little bit about Brian. He's in Ohio. This is how he picked up. This is how he met Patricia Fripp. So I got a record of everything in there. Once you're in my book, Brian, you're in trouble, by the way. So be careful and you're in it. But I wake up fairly early. I'm an early riser, and I listen to a meditation podcast for 20 minutes before I get up. And then I do something I learned about NLP. I listen to the sounds of the radiators or the birds singing outside. Then I visualize at the end of the day what I've achieved at the end of the day, what my goals are. And then I feel the feeling in my body that I get from the success of that day. Let me tell you, that's a little secret I learned about from NLP. That actually charges you up with a bit of adrenaline, endorphins and everything else. Then I get up, I check my emails, I have a shower, and I go for a walk to Starbucks where I where I have a coffee. I go through my lists and I get charged up with a coffee. A nice walk across the park from where I live, some fresh air, some adrenaline, etc. Now, because we're locked down here because of COVID at the moment, I can't really do that. Or it was the first day I was allowed to do it because we came out of lockdown. But you can't talk to anybody. So that's what I do. Then I come back and I get on with some things. I do an interview with somebody like you, and then I do some writing. And in the middle of the day, I go out for some exercise, some fresh air, because I need some exercise. And I don't think it's very safe to go to gyms at the moment. So I do speed walking. So that's kind of my day. And at this time of day, I start making lists, see what I haven't done, get rid of some emails. I'm not very good at clearing emails, I must admit, but we all have our weaknesses, don't we?
Oh, we do. We certainly do. So tell me about your next level of success. What does your next level of success look like?
Well, I think it looks like getting more people subscribing to my briefing. I send out an email briefing. I've been doing it for 12 years. I do it weekly now. Every Monday morning I send it out and send out tips, techniques, and my goal is to share some of the wisdom that I have been privileged to get so many people. And then I have a live chat show like you do. I have that on a Monday night, 5 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 9 o'clock Pacific time in the States, where I have some guest speakers on. And again, my idea is that I'd rather have more people on live, and then I put it on YouTube. So if any of your anyone listening to this would like to go on that, I'd love to have you, especially the other side, from the other halfway around the world. That would be great. And the links, you very kindly put the link in. So I'm a guy that shares. A third of my time is for me and my family. The other third of the time is to give things to charity, and the other third of the time is for business. And those dovetail across. And I'm lucky enough to do that at my age, which was one of my goals. So I need to keep doing this for as long as I can.
That's great. That's great. A few other people are here to join us. Wanted to make sure we welcome them into the show. So Kathy, she's a phenomenal person that has been serving our veterans all across the U.S. So now she's in Arizona. She was in Ohio with me, but she's moved out to Arizona and is enjoying. I think it's Sedona, maybe it's just Phoenix, or no, Tucson. Oh, yeah, beautiful area. So thank you for joining us, Kathy. I'm glad to see you this morning. And then our old friend Randall Reeder. I'm not sure you know Randall from Columbus or the Gold Gate Breakfast Club.
Yeah, I was on yesterday. So was Randall and you.
Yes. I love that. That's a great organization. So yeah, preparation. So thank you for joining us. And again, everyone that's on the call, please share this out with other people. Make the community as big as we can. So we're happy to do that. What else? What do you do? So you've got. It sounds like you've got a real good process, a good understanding of your body, a good understanding of what makes you tick. So you know how to handle your morning and your morning routine. But what do you do to recharge?
Well, I got this great meditation app on my phone, which is absolutely great. I think walking, exercise is recharging, actually, as long as you rest afterwards. Yeah. You talked about football. We call it football. You call it soccer, but it's the same game. You're not allowed to call it soccer over here. I go to Arsenal. I'm a season ticket at Arsenal, which is the big London club. So that's great. It's as popular as baseball is in the States over here. So it's the game of England. And I go to cricket. You probably wouldn't know what cricket is, but cricket's similar to baseball, actually. Actually, it can be as boring as baseball, because I've been watching baseball games as well, where everyone sits around talking and drinking rather than actually watching what's going on. I'm a fantastic networker, and at the moment I've been walking and talking with people, because I think one of the questions you asked me in the rehearsal is who sort of picks up my blind spots. Well, I've got a few friends who ask me difficult questions. I don't like the difficult questions, but the difficult questions are the ones that you want. So yeah, and I used to like going away once a month, and particularly going to Europe and traveling on the trains in Europe, which are fantastic, particularly Switzerland, which is awesome. If anyone goes to Switzerland, you buy yourself a rail card, and it's like Disney, the trains in Switzerland. They go over the mountains and everything. So I love doing all that. Well, we haven't been able to do it for 9 months, and we probably won't be able to do it for another 6 months, despite the vaccine and everything else, which people are taking now in the UK like mad. But who knows?
Are you going to get the vaccine?
I think I have to. Yeah, I don't think there'd be any choice. I don't think you'll be allowed on an aeroplane in Europe if you don't take the vaccine. Yeah. I mean, all these people that are the anti-vaxxers, I think, are kidding themselves. I mean, so I think I have to. I mean, I don't think anyone's keen on taking a vaccine and that sort of stuff. But I think we'll have to carry on living our lives, and I think it's only fair to other people, because you don't want to do it to other people. So, yeah.
Yep. No, I agree. And there's our friend Kathy coming in from Phoenix. I was wrong. I had Sedona, I had Tucson, but it was Phoenix. So yeah.
Brian, one of the things I remember is driving from Las Vegas via the Hoover Dam to Sedona, staying in Sedona for the night, and seeing all these red rocks and all that kind of energy, and then driving on to Phoenix for a convention. I did that twice with my wife. It was fabulous, fantastic.
Yeah, it's a beautiful part of the country, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So tell me, what do you do to stay steadfast?
Well, if you mean steadfast, I don't know what you mean by steadfast. That doesn't translate very well into English. So let's say to stay balanced, to stay
yeah, let's say that.
Well, probably all the things that we've already talked about. But
Yeah.
I do find having a journal, okay, and some goals. And one of my goals is to call my kids every other day if they don't call me, and they're grown up, and be a bit of a nuisance, but to connect with them, and connect with bits of family, because I hate it when I hear people saying they don't talk to their kids. Well, if you don't talk to your kids, we should do something about it, and grow up and get on with it, and give them a call and send them some love and see what they're doing and see how you can help them, because I find that appalling. But it's usually the parent who has to get over it, actually. But
Right.
they probably won't call you unless you call them, and that's the way it goes.
Probably not.
Until you're in a nursing home, and then they might get worried about you. But who knows? Yeah. So I mean, I try and be pretty balanced, but I write things down. If I wake up in the middle of the night, I do some auto writing. I write down on a piece of paper everything that comes into my head. Read it in the morning, screw it up, and throw it in the bin, because it was probably a load of rubbish. But it gets from out here onto here and onto paper, and that's a good therapy as well.
Yeah. That's good. That's good. I appreciate that. So you've already told us about your morning routine. What are you? Well, let me ask you. What are you reading right now?
Okay, well, those of you that have got it on visual can see my bookcase, and there's a lot of books up there. I'm rereading Persuasion by Robert Cialdini. And I was privileged to see Robert Cialdini in Denver last year at the National Speaking Conference. I know he's from Phoenix, and some of your people are from Phoenix. I think he's from Phoenix. I think he's awesome. I teach people the 6 traits of influencing from his original book. But Persuasion, when I got this 2 years ago, I couldn't get on with it very well. And then somebody was talking about it on my chat show. So I thought I'd better go through it again, and I marked it up as I always do. And I think the point he makes about persuasion, it's what you do before you start the persuasion process. And again, that's what we do: building rapport, connecting with people, slowing down, saying nice things to them on LinkedIn. Lady sent me a rather aggressive LinkedIn post on Monday morning, and I didn't know whether to ignore it or just delete it. And I sent her a little sort of humorous thing. It sounds like you're having a bad morning. Don't give me one, but if you want to connect, we will. And we've had a bit of a connection from it. And she said, yeah, I was having a grumpy morning. I said, I wanted to say, don't take it out on me, but I didn't. Okay, it's Monday morning. People are stressed. It's dark. People suffer from the SADS, as seasonal affective syndrome, whatever it's called, because it's dark. You don't get enough energy. and so on. So yeah, persuasion. But I have got about 8 books I'm reading, and I tend to read them from the back. I flick them from the back. This is my technique. I flick it from the back, looking for something interesting, stick in a post-it, write on it, which my wife hates. Books have to be written on there. You know, at school, you ended up in big trouble if you wrote, highlight it. Look at that.
Oh yeah.
There's Pavlov's dog in there, which of course is all about anchors in psychology. So yeah, and I'm also reading a book on traveling by train in Switzerland, because I'm revising that, because I'm looking forward in about 12 months to go back to Switzerland and travel by train. I'm not sure how quick you'll get me into the States until this is really, really cracked.
You're probably not going to come to the NSA conference in Las Vegas?
I'd love to go, because I like Las Vegas. I think Las Vegas is a crazy place, if you don't mind me saying that. I think it's absolutely bonkers, but there's something good about it. But that's in July. I don't think I'll feel comfortable traveling 10 hours on a plane by July. That would be my guess. Yeah. So yeah, I think the answer is no, but optimistic about the year after.
Well, good. I hope to see you wherever that is.
I'm looking forward to it. Mine's a pint of beer, okay? A pint of nice beer. Thank you.
All right. What kind of beer do you like?
I like lager, actually, but I also like Guinness. I like Guinness from Ireland.
Well, from Ireland, I like Guinness. So we were fortunate enough to go to Ireland and had the Guinness over there. The Guinness over there is much different than the Guinness here.
Yeah, it doesn't travel so well. But did anyone tell you in Ireland that it rains all the time? They don't tell you that, do they?
No, they don't tell you.
They don't tell you that. No, that's why all the fields are green and it rains all the time, especially on the west coast, because you guys are sending those Atlantic clouds in our direction.
Yeah, it's all our fault.
All your fault, absolutely.
Well, I'm going to ask you one last question. I'm going to go off camera here for a little bit, but tell me a little bit about what else you're doing right now and what in the book that you have.
Well, I am writing a new book, but I'm not doing very well with that at the moment. It's called 33 Negotiation Nuggets. I'm just doing all sorts of things, multitasking, sharing what I've learned. I've done 78 live chat shows now since we were locked down on the 23rd of March. I woke up with the idea, Brian, and I started it, and I thought I'd do 1 or 2. They were so successful, people kept asking me to do more. The ability to use Zoom is fantastic. And I've connected with so many, reconnected with so many friends and made some new friends, but particularly a guy called Tim Durkin in Texas, Patricia Fripp. We speak weekly, and I'm just trying to share the fun I do. And I like to just share this. This is a card I give out to people, Brian, because whilst I'm a negotiation speaker, I really love the inspirational and motivational stuff, and people get so hacked off with the weather in the UK that I give this card out. And as you can see, it says, wow, congratulations on being fantastic. It's people like you that make a massive difference. And I give that to checkout people, shopkeepers, hotel receptionists, and what, with a big smile on my face and a big thank you. And on the back, I've got my 3 favorite quotes, so they might be able to use them. You become who you spend the most time with. When you continue to learn, you earn. And give without remembering, receive without forgetting, which is the famous quote from the philosopher William Barclay. So I just try and, go out and ruin someone's miserable day, make them happy, change their state, and continue to learn, keep learning, and keep being interviewed by great guys like you.
I appreciate that, but thank you for that. And that's a great idea. I love the card. Tell me about your book, the on the back wall there.
Oh, right. Well, I'm going to tell you about my book, Win Win, which is the book I'm really proud of, the one that I never thought I would publish. It's published all over the world. You can get it on Amazon.com now in a Kindle version. Download it at this moment, and the price changes every day. I don't know how Amazon manage to change the price every day, but it was about $6 the other day when I looked and spoke at the Golden Gate Breakfast Club. This is 30 years of my experience, 2 years to write it. And it's, I will show you this because it is written, excuse the post-its, it's written in an easy way to read. It's got lots of paragraphs, not like a sort of academic book from, and so you can go to the index, you can pick out something that people are interested in, like reading body language is something that people like. And, you know, I've become an expert at reading the signals, the body language, which is really important when people aren't telling you the truth, when they're lying, connecting, building rapport, mind maps. So it's all in there. To be honest, I thought I'm not going to write another book, so I'm going to pack it all in there. If there's no second book, it's all going in there. This is a once in a lifetime.
I love it. I love it. I mean, it's a win-win by Derek Arden. I'm going to pick that up today. So thank you for that. Oh, and someone else joined us here, my friend Carla Bruscato, and I'm probably pronouncing her name wrong. She's from Brazil. So there's probably a much better way to pronounce it. I love the accent. But yeah, so Carla is joining us from Brazil. Glad to have you on, Carla. Again, share this video out with as many people as you can. Derek, is there anything else that I've missed that we should be talking about? And I'm sure there is. So we're going to have you back on in the spring. But what else can we cover for today?
Well, I'd love to come back on, Brian. So I'm privileged to come on your show. So thank you so much for inviting me. I just like to invite people to send me an email, send you an email, join my newsletter on a Monday, and then you'll get all the links. I don't sell on it. My book's on it, but I just give people negotiation, inspiration, neurolinguistic tips, and then invite them to come and join me on YouTube or the podcast live. And I just want to share the things that I've been privileged to learn. So my email's down the bottom, action@derekarden.co.uk. If you don't get an answer from me, send it again, because we all know the spam checkers have gone mad in the last few months, cutting people out that aren't in my address book, or link to me on LinkedIn, please, because I'd love to hear from you. And if you've enjoyed it, send me a thumbs up, because it's great to be sharing. And thanks, Brian. That's it.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your time. And everyone, hang out here. So, Derek, if you would hang out in the green room, I'll be back in a little bit. But yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. All right. So let's see here. We've got a big day coming up. I mean, today has been phenomenal. So having Derek on was great. So you can see his URL there for where you can contact him. But it wasn't that phenomenal. So I'm so glad that he came on. But tomorrow we have another big day. We have Jay Bear joining us, who's another phenomenal speaker who speaks on customer service. And Jay is going to share with us all the tips and tricks that he knows that are current, and maybe some that aren't current. But I hope you can join us for that show tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern. And then at 11:30 Eastern, we're going to have Rosemary Rossetti coming on. She's going to talk about disabilities and people with disabilities and their caregivers, and how important it is for us all to understand that what we need, what we want to say, but we can't always say. So again, that's the Stroke of Genius. That is at 11:30 Eastern. So look forward to seeing you all there. Thank you so much. I appreciate you all. I appreciate you all being on. If there's anything that I can do for you, by all means, let me know. And as always, if I can find my mouse, I do this a lot better. As always, keep one eye on the road.